Hello and welcome to another episode of Heroes Explain. I'll be continuing the story of Cog and the aftermath of taking over the Valley Village. So, yeah, the next day, Cog continues to be cautious for any more remaining troops, but he knows he pretty much devastated the entire thing and conquered the entire place overnight. The soldiers who surrendered were killed immediately, besides a handful of really strong men and strong and fit men. Those handful were taken into the dungeon keep of the main fortress. I'm pretty sure you saw the picture uh, in the last video. Well, the last time I did this, there was like a main central tower keep thing. That's pretty much the main central area, has a dungeon and whatever. Anyways, so Cog locks them up in there and then continues with his experiment, turning those guys into Maltese. He also takes a bunch of other young fit men that weren't a part of the army or soldiers, whatever. He took them as well and also mutated them into Maltese. The remaining, he didn't do all of them, just a good chunk. And then the remaining people were left to rebuild and reestablish that village and town for when he comes back, or Cog, has conquered this and is now a part of his kingdom, and he's not gonna let his people starve or be ill prepared. So yeah, so with the whole experimentation and turning some of the captives they has into Maltese, instantly replaces the few Maltese he lost, and also added more to the ring. So he's gained more than he lost. Um, over the couple like a week, Cog helps him and his men helps repair and fix this village, and squad of soldiers. So the before they attacked the day before, Cog released a pigeon, carrier pigeon, whatever, or a hawk, whatever. I'm pretty sure you'd use a hawk. Yeah, he would release a hawk with a note tied to it back to his kingdom, and requesting men to guard the village that he's conquer and whatever. So within 5 days, these men come, and yeah, they tag team and Cog's men and forces and the Maltese all gather up their equipment and start going up the mountain pass, whatever. Uh, a very dangerous, deadly road, even if you're just doing it normally. But because they're an army of invading force, when they're coming up this pass, they know that they will be attacked, making it even more deadly and dangerous. Which Cog likes a challenge. He sees this as the perfect way to prove himself as a unstoppable force, this immensely powerful being that will go and trample all who stand in his way. So he takes up this daunting challenge, and yeah, his men pack up stuff and they start to march. Everything's on their back. They're carrying light and moving fast. Wagons, which slow them down, horses require more food and water to keep keep up with. So they ditch the horse, they leave horses. They don't do carts. They pretty much pack the Maltese with heavier baggages, carrying like tents and other bulky, heavier, odd objects, and they are pretty much their pack horses. Um, and yeah, they start their march up this mountain pass. And yeah, the first day, nothing's wrong. Second day, uh, it's starting to become steeper and whatever. So it's a little more trudging and whatever up the mountain, but no enemies encountered. And Cog calculated that since it's a week to get down, and it should be a week to get up, and if they attacked at night, and some person by chance did go up, there's probably some points up the mountain that will also counter them. And he suspects on on their third travel day, they'll hit the first checkpoint, Castle Keep, called the low point, because it's at the lowest point of the mountain. They weren't fancy with names, and so on the third day, they march half a day. Then they set up camp. Now, where they set up is them kind of on this like little cliff valley thing that most people usually stop and camp at all the time. And yeah, I'm right now flying by the seat of my pants, coming up with this part. Uh, I never really put in too much details about this whole invasion thing, but because I'm making these videos, I want to be as detailed as possible. But that's the thing. Anyways, as they're camping out on this thing, Cog obviously sends some scouts to scout out the remaining area. Look out for like traps or possible good ambush positions. And then he sets up some people with multis to, patrol the area every now and then to guarantee that they won't be attacked by any forces. Then Cog with 10 Maltese, well, yes, I think it was, yeah, gray fur Maltese, the superior ones, the elite. He grabs 10 of them, and then him with the 10 march the rest of the way towards this tower. So he leaves his men behind to just camp out there, and Cog will go and check out this low point tower and, if possible, conquer it. And yeah, as Cog's marching up with these 10 elite multis, they, make it towards the gate. They come across some soldiers, and they're just like, halt no further. If you continue on this path, you will die. Both drawn bows on his exact location. And Cog is just like, no, you surrender now, and I'll spare half the men, and the other half will be under me and join my forces to slaughter the rest of their king's men, whatever. And the two guards obviously shoot bows. Hog raise his shield. He has a shield and a sword and armor, and obviously his shield is it's it's like sort of it's like made out of bronzish, whatever. So the front part is coated with bronze, but it's like still wood, The wood with bronze kind of plated over it. And the shield is in the form it's just like uh well, so it's not a circle nor rectangle. It's those stereotypical drawn shields where it's like the the W top and it forms into a V. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, it's like that, but the V part, the top V part, or yeah, whatever. Anyways, I'm not gonna try and I don't know. I honestly never really thought of what his design for the shield was. I'm just saying, just picture some cool design for a shield that's big because Cog is 7 foot and was he 7 or 7.5? Pretty sure. Whatever. He's a big dude. He's massive, has a big shield, has a big sword. Obviously, raises shield to block arrows. Arrows do nothing. They bounce off of the bronze. Um, and then the elite Maltese, charge to kill these guys. But the men's then whistle and a volley of arrows dart from the cliffside. So the mountain pass is pretty much just this big, wide, flat road, but with cliffs on either side. So every time they're marching through this, they have to be worried of landslides, attacks from above, and you know, pretty much the cliffs. They have to worry about the cliffs, whether rock slides or landslides. Not well, rock slides, landslides, are kind of whatever, or enemies on top of the cliffs shooting down from below, shooting from above down below. Anyways, so a volley of arrows come from these cliff sides down towards Cog and the elite Maltese. The elite Maltese continue to book towards the two guards who are now kind of just shooting arrows at them. Arrows pierce their hit them and stick into their hide, but because they're elite, they're tougher and thicker than the normal one. So if this was like normal Maltese, they would have been brought down by a couple of arrows. But these things are way too powerful for to be brought down by the arrows, and they overwhelm the two dudes and then start, climbing up the cliff sides to deal with the men up top. Cog, due to his armor being plated around him a lot, barely any exposed parts. It's only the joints that are exposed. So he just, takes the arrows, allow the arrows to hit and bounce off of his armor because it's also made out of bronze. Because he has immense strength, he's allowed to wear thicker, heavier material for his armor, which allows him to negate pretty much a lot of attacks for this time period, which is really early, early. It, I whatever, a couple of million BC or whatever. I don't care. Anyways, so yep, Cog continues to march forward. The elite Maltese start attacking the men outside, while Cog marches his way towards the front gate of this outpost. Of course, it's locked up and it's being shot at with arrows that aren't doing much. Cog raises his shield and then rams into the door, just full on straight into the door. The and the wood budges and starts to warp and break, and he runs into it 3 times, and he finally breaks through, and then he's meted with men with spears and more arrows, and then he just starts marching, using the shield to cover his face, and using his sword to cut at the spears, chopping the wood that the tips are attached to. Once you break it, they just have sticks, anyways. So starts doing that, and then some of the men start switching to swords and starts, attacking him. And he sheathes his sword, then proceeds to throw his shield in like a frisbee into a bunch of the men, having them killed instantly. It like goes and you just hear crunch and crackling of bones breaking and shattering as it flies through a group of men, and then it just lands, crushing the rest. And some of them die instantly. Others are just have their internal organs punctured and they're just bleeding internally and they're just writhing in pain. Then he proceeds to use his arms and fists to just grab some men, and like punching them so hard that their head just dislocates and just drops and droops, or just straight up just crushing and breaking all these guys' bones and bodies with his hands while their swords are banging and clashing against his armor, barely doing a thing. And even if they manage to land blows in between the weak spots due to his immense strength and power, the swords are like kind of dull and whatever, and barely just scratching him. And he just proceeds to tear through these men as they helplessly fight back, dying a horrible, painful death. And then, yeah, at dusk, he pretty much conquers the entire place and spends the night there. The elite Maltese, three of them die, and four were extremely injured. So, you know, there's that, but they pretty much decimated the outside forces, and the camp that set it up, the camp that Cog left behind, the setup and whatever, they were also ambushed. But they were prepared for it, and they dealt with it pretty well. They lost some men too, and Maltese weakening his forces more, but Cog dealt a more greater and horrible blow to the Northern Kingdom than they did to him. And yeah, that's where I'm leaving off. He conquers the Low Point Fortress and pretty much massacres everybody there. Anyway, so that's this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Tried my best to record monthly. I really do, but I I'm sorry I wasn't active the last couple of times. I don't know. I may or may not be able to do July. A lot of stuff is happening. Today was pretty much a really good day because I finally got cleared and nothing to do, so I could actually record one of these videos. If you want me to like talk about some superhero thing, whatever, comment down below what you want me to talk about. If you enjoy this Kingdoms Explained Kong's Northern Conquest series, uh, thank you. If you have issues with it, well, I'm no pro, so I can't really do a whole lot. Anyways, yeah, that's right. I do have an outro. Yeah, so I hope you guys have I almost said horrible, but no. I hope you guys have a great end of this year, whatever. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, whatever works because it's gonna be monthly posts. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy it and see you all next year. Hopefully, I do post January. Yeah, Bubs out.